Welcome to the C4 News New Year show. It has been a few weeks since my last show, and I've thought long and hard about the subject of today's show. And I settled on from kings to slaves to prisoners. The story begins from the first generations of man, between the Arab Peninsula and the Horn of Africa. Where life actually started, we don't know, but this area is extremely significant to the growth of mankind. God's first commandment to man was for him to populate the earth. God also created him mates as well. Their name was Eve. Now, before Eve, it is theorized that Adam's first wife was Lilith. Lilith and Adam did not mesh because she was not created from his DNA. So she was defiant in her obedience to God and Adam. So it is also said that she was cast out of Eden. This would mean that God performed the first divorce. Hard to believe, I know. But when he created Eve, they were created from Adam's DNA. Now here is an area of great debate. Women really don't like or agree with this point, but it is simple science. Eve did not signify one woman, but the female race. Not only would it not be possible for one man and one woman to populate the earth, but the different races across the earth have to have a beginning. Even if Adam had all the DNA of the future races of man, he could not create them with one woman. Almost every child would have the same traits. Think about it. African women have the most curvaceous bodies. Arab women have the most gorgeous facial features. And the temperament of the Asian woman is not found anyplace else on earth. This means that Adam had to have multiple wives. Each wife had to be of a different race. Plus, unless you believe that God wanted man to be involved in incest, which creates abnormalities and deformities, then science proves that to have a successful genetic byproduct, there must be a certain level of separation of the gene pool. This means that women are responsible for the diverse racial composition of mankind. Not only is the theory sound, but it is the only explanation that is scientifically proven. No matter how many children any one woman can have at a time, if you multiply the amount of seeds to be fertilized, the more fruit that can be produced. Plus, on top of that, the different races of women will create enough separation in the gene pool for the children to be able to procreate successfully. After this period, we are familiar with the sin of mankind and the punishment from the chief. Women's childbirth became more painful for them, and man had to toil for food and survival. Adam made a mistake. In my opinion, Adam should have not just slapped the fruit from Eve if he was present, but he should have punished whichever female had performed the sin. But this did not happen. God placed us on earth naked to induce reproduction, sex. Imagine how beautiful and flawless these women must have been. These women were so beautiful that it is said that the sons of God had to take some of them. Now, if an angelic creature is drawn to an earthly woman, she must be all that and some more. God wanted us to be happy and procreate. Now, here is another difficult part for people to digest. It is the devil, Satan, or whatever you want to call her. Why her? I'll get into later. Satan told man that they were naked. Imagine the disappointment of God. You create these beings to do essentially one job, and they allow a jealous woman to disturb the groove. Now let's talk about why the devil must be female in nature. First, the Bible's reference about Satan is that the angel was the most beautiful. I don't know about you, but man is not regarded as being beautiful. Secondly, Satan did not want to bow to God's creations. Between male and female races, only women possess jealousy, envy, greed. Men only acquire these traits to satisfy women. When you make a woman angry, there's no telling how far she'll go to get you back at you. But what she doesn't realize is that the energy that she spends is wasted. A man could really care less. As a matter of fact, the more energy she uses, the more important that man must be to her. You just gave him the upper hand. He will move on and forget all about her, but she is fixated on him. Understanding this gives you an opportunity to see what Satan really is. It is not that Satan is necessarily bad, but Satan does not like mankind. She spends her time tricking mankind out of the will of God. This is primarily done through the female race. The female race has the book on man, especially a man who has no real faith in God. A man that has real faith in God has no problem with the devil. He allows the devil to do whatever she does, but he knows the promise from the Creator. He knows that God will not only protect him, but that he will succeed. This is why the most blessed men of God suffer so. You must suffer to a certain level in order to obtain the righteousness of the chief. If you can show love to the devil without communicating with her directly, then you begin to win. Because just like a petulant child, she will continue to reach for something that she cannot achieve. God's promise is clear. We rule the earth and everything on it. So never allow a situation to guide you where you don't need to be. Believe that the Creator will deliver you. Nothing can happen without His permission, good or bad. Just because you have a difficult time or a situation does not mean that God does not love you. He is just allowing you to be tested. God has never rewarded those that are not strong. From that generation, Abraham and Moses entered the scene. Now, Ibrahim, he is the originator of Muslims. Now, don't get that confused with Islam. Islam has been here since the inception of man. Islam is the submission to God's will, not a religion. This means that Islam is a way of life. From the beginning, man worshiped God and God alone. When man decided to worship other deities, this is when the problem began. But this was the job of Abraham and Moses. When people fell out of line with God, this is when they attempted to pull them back. This is also the generation of kings. As people, kings enjoyed power, and so this led to people worshiping them and what the king wanted them to worship over the Creator. This is where Moses, the Ten Commandments, and the leading of the Israelites out of slavery took place. This time is very relevant to today. Our leaders enjoy power so much that they require a certain amount of worship for you to be in their good grace. Even our entertainers are worshipped. From the generation of Moses comes the generation of King David. King David is not liked or appreciated for what he accomplished. No matter his faults, he brought multitudes to the servitude of the Creator. If you read the Bible, David covers almost a third of it himself by either his words, actions, prayers, or even mention. David can be considered the sword of God. He and his son birthed many nations to come after them. I know Solomon had a lot of wives, but think how many seeds came from this blessed bloodline. Even the greatest man to ever walk this earth is in David's bloodline. Yes, I'm talking about Yeshua, better known as Jesus. So the next time someone says something negative about David or Solomon, remind them that Yeshua is in their direct bloodline. And if God found fault with them, the greatest would not have been in their direct bloodline, period. I know today that the world has given a lot of power to women, and that's okay. Women are due to share their thoughts and real emotions, but there is a fine line. Their job is to give birth as many times as possible. If you think I'm joking, read Genesis. God ordered that Adam fill the earth. Now, how was this done? Sex. Lots of it. Almost every animal must have some form of sex in order to produce. Think about this. The world is so crazy that men can marry each other or women can marry each other, but a man having multiple wives in America is illegal. This is preposterous. It should be legal for a man to have as many wives as he can handle, especially when you have "In God We Trust" on your money. Do we really trust God? I think not. Now, Adam, Ibrahim, Moses, David, Solomon, and Yeshua gives us evidence of this. And don't they make up a substantial part of the Bible? Women have allowed Lilith to coerce them into going outside of God's will, especially in America. Ever since Christianity has hit the scene, we have gone from bad to worse. Now, I'm not saying that we were perfect before. We as people have made plenty of mistakes. Killing, enslaving, and idol worship are just a few. But Christianity is a different beast, because its founder is Catholicism. And in Catholicism, it gives power to all different types of deities or people. Now saints have power, and even Mary has power. Are we insane? I'm not saying that these people are not significant, nor am I saying that God has not blessed them with certain duties or power. All I'm saying is they are not to be worshiped. Only God is to be worshiped, the owner of all power. Even Yeshua is worshiped. And all throughout the Bible, this is never said by him. He tells you to follow him and how to pray. You follow him the same way that you follow a tour guide. You probably will never reach your destination without following the guidance of the tour guide. And where does Yeshua lead you? He leads you straight to the chief. As far as the one scripture that Christianity uses to wrongly promote praying to or through Yeshua, this is badly misunderstood. He says you cannot get to the Father except through him. The leaders of Christianity took this and ran with it. What they don't inform their congregation is if you had to pray to or through Yeshua, God would have sent him when he made Adam. So are you saying that the people on earth before Yeshua could not get to God? So who did Ibrahim, Moses, Daniel, Job, David, Solomon, where did they get their direction? Christianity sounds insane. Yeshua is merely saying to follow his actions and God will be in your presence. He also will send you angels to protect you. Throughout the Bible, Yeshua never accepted worship. He always told people to pray to God, not him. He regarded himself as a messenger of God, the greatest of all messengers, but a messenger. I want black people in America to think about something. If the Indians never allowed any of the pilgrims to get off the ship alive, are you a Christian? Chances are you are not. Remember that Christianity was brought to Africa through the Roman Empire, so its exposure in Africa is limited. We've allowed the same people who supposedly killed Yeshua to tell us how to follow him. Now, does that make any sense? Whomever allowed the Romans to get the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Tales of Gilgamesh, and all the other biblical literature, they should have been put to death. God has been waiting on us to get the point or hit the target, but for some reason we just refuse to understand. The chief is responsible for all things. He is the Big Bang. Look up at the clear night sky. Look around you when you're outside. Yes, all that is the Creator. No one, even Satan, has power without him. Yes, he allows evil to live because through evil comes great things. Think about it. You're always stronger once you've been through some tough times. you gain a certain resilience. If God did not want evil or wrong to exist, it would not. Plus, He did not make us robots. We think, we decide, we calculate, we sexually procreate. We are the walking representations of God's will. Thank you for listening, and hopefully tonight you pray directly to the Chief. And if you have any questions about what is said in this show, look it up or ask your pastor, priest, or whatever spiritual leader you have. This information is factually undisputable. It is very uncomfortable, but nonetheless, very undisputable. Thank you.